You're listening to the Build a Better Business series from the More Than More podcast. We're here to share the tools and strategies you need to journey from survival to significance with your leads, team, systems, and money. Let's get started. All right. Good morning. Welcome, everyone.
Good morning.
I am joined by Travis this morning. We are super excited to be kicking off a little of the whys and the hows behind our 2025 sales contest
It is
today.
almost here, yes.
I can't believe it's almost here. So it's that time of year. So we wanted to spend a little time, like I said, digging into why we picked what we picked and why we're focused on what we're focused on, and then dig into a little bit more of the nitty gritty of what we're doing as well. So
I like it.
So yeah, we're starting with the whole idea behind this entire contest is conversations.
Right.
And it sounds similar to some of the things that we've done before, but y'all are going to notice very quickly that it really is only about the conversations and maybe not so much about the conversation starters and things that get us
And that's
to
the
have
big
those
difference, I
conversations.
think, is the huge difference. We'll
Yeah.
get into that.
So let's talk a little bit about why we just chose to get rid of all the extra noise and focus on conversations. Why now?
Yeah. Well, I think, I will say this. I think this might be, and again, this is my fifth. I was thinking about on the drive here this morning. This is my fifth sales contest
That's
now
crazy.
with C21, which is wild because I feel like I'm just starting with the company. But this is my fifth one. And I will say this is probably the most challenging. I don't want to say it's the hardest. I don't want to say it's the most difficult. It
For
will
some
be
people.
the most challenging. And I don't even think, for some, I think out of all that we've done, this is the one where people are going to say, like, this will take the most commitment and investment.
time.
But I think this is going to be the one that also gives us the biggest return
that's good.
out of any of our contests that we've done.
Yeah.
And
it because
it's doing the hard things,
Yeah.
right? And we always talk about, like, the stuff that's the hardest tends to get us the best return. And it's not that this is going to cost money.
No.
It's not that this is going to take up a lot of time. It's just going to take commitment and effort. And I like that.
Yeah, and I think we, as we were kind of brainstorming and thinking through this more, we also said, you know what? People need more than anything right now is actually just human connection, right? There's so much noise, and especially, holidays, people have been busy. I mean, they've seen people, they've connected, but have they really just taken the time to connect with people and sit down and actually, I'm like Dylanism, but like give a rip about somebody, right? Like it's just actually look somebody in the eye and just say, how you doing? What's going on in your world? Those kinds of things. So I just feel like with all the noise, this is going to not only be something that could pay off dividends for your business because it's the hard stuff but it's the stuff that matters, right? Really taking care of your people, being a human, having conversations. So that's kind of why we started there,
Right.
as far as that goes. And then also, when we have conversations, getting to be, people know we're realtors.
Yeah.
Right? So they're going to ask questions and they're going to lean in. And it's our job to be the expert and kind of have some advice, have some guidance, have some whatever we need for them, whatever we can provide for them, providing value, right? We lead with value in these conversations. And so we're also likening this to when we are guides, when we are sitting down to have conversations with people, it's leading with LRC. And so LRC, leadership, relationship, and creativity. Dylan and I spent an entire other podcast talking through these, but people are craving that leadership that gives them the direction, that relationship that gives them the confidence and, hey, this person has my back, and that creativity piece when you provide them options and ways to think about things also gives them more capability to go out and feel confident in what they're doing. Yeah. So I'm super excited. I know this is harder, like you said. I think it's good that you said that.
But I think it's good that it's harder.
I do too.
Yeah.
I do too.
I think you really hit the nail on the head here, though, is that there's so much noise and it's everywhere. It's not, it used to be a lot of social media noise, but we're also seeing more that this noise is coming from the news on TV, but we're also seeing even in written media that there's just so much noise about
and misinformation.
And that's why I think this is so important, is because the noise is there. Yeah. And we know that the consumer, our clients and our potential clients, aren't the experts. And so for them to try to filter this noise is beyond what they can do, and really beyond what they should have to do. That's where we provide the value. And you mentioned that as well. And I want to reiterate that one of the best things we can do as the experts is filter that noise out and say, hey, here is what's going on.
Yes, and that is the LRC piece,
That
right?
is the LRC piece.
Yes.
And that's why we're having these conversations, is because they get on Facebook, they get on Instagram, they get on TikTok, but they also click on any of the major news networks or online news, and they're seeing something about the housing industry and about real estate and about interest rates.
It's been a very noisy year this year. Like moving into a new year.
And again, I think that is a consequence of what happened in 2020 and in 2021 with these unbelievable markets. This is kind of the aftermath.
Yeah.
And now we have people that are saying, well, home ownership's not attainable because it's not affordable. We have others that are looking at this and saying, well, you know what? Interest rates are what interest rates are. I'm going to go out and buy.
Yeah.
There's so many different pieces of this depending on who we're talking to.
Yeah.
And so I think that's what I'm excited about in this sales contest and what we're going to talk about here today briefly. Just to intro it is that we are going to practice and learn and do the conversations that need to be had tailored to the audience. Who is our client in what capacity? Are they a buyer? Are they a seller? Are they a homeowner? And then where do we go from there in our conversations to help us build a business?
Yeah, it's such a beautiful thing. I feel like it is actually the heart behind, yes, we help people buy and sell houses, but behind all of that are these beautiful relationships that we get to provide this expert advice. Right. So getting to have these conversations and looking at it that way, like this is fun. I mean, it's fun, right? Like get in front of your people and help them, give them guidance and give them that LRC to kind of help them get where they want to go, wherever they want to go, right? So let's dig into some of these conversations. And so what we worked really hard to do as a part of this sales contest is actually put together some conversations, dialogues, and scripts for you, because what we realize at the end of the day, this is the stuff that people shy away from, that people are scared of. And really it comes down to them not having or feeling like they have the words. Yeah. Right. So what do I say when somebody asks me these questions, or what is going to be my response when X, Y, Z? Yeah. So what we try to do is just compile, some of those things for you to give you the confidence to have some words already kind of locked and loaded in your mind so that when these come up, you're much more equipped to go have these conversations. So no excuses kind of thing. Yeah, we're putting these in front of you.
And I like to preface all of this is because some people hear the word script and they're immediately turned off.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, you know what? I don't want to sound robotic. I don't want to just repeat what everybody else is repeating. And number one, anytime we have a script, we want you to personalize it and make it yours. But two, I think it's really important to keep in mind that for some people, they have a talent that they can wing it. Right? Like you ask me that question and I don't need a script. Being able to communicate, tell the story and quote unquote wing it is something they're talented at. But I was talking to a team lead the other day and they were talking about trying to train new agents to talk like they talk and to do what they do. I'm like, well, do you use scripts? And that agent's like, no, I am just lucky because I can just talk my way through it. I said, perfect. And this is why your team members are struggling because not everybody
is wired that way.
Has that
and
ability.
Honestly, more people are not wired that way.
More aren't. And that's why scripts are so important. So I will say this, that I always was a little turned off by scripts because I'm one of those people that I wing it, right? I can just give me a topic and I'll talk. And my wife mocks me for it all the time. She's like, you could BS your way through anything. I'm like, but I'm fortunate there. And it's something that I'm blessed that I can do that. But I also have seen more and more, especially being involved with C21, how those scripts provide a framework, a structure to continue a conversation.
I like that. It's really more of a framework, right?
It is. And so that's why I want to remind everybody that even if you're someone like me that likes to wing it, knowing the framework of these scripts is so important. And so I don't want people to be turned away. I'm like, I don't need more scripts. Like you do need these just so you have the basis to go out and do what you do. And then for those people that are like, I can't wing it, like that gives me anxiety. Perfect. We have not just the framework, we have sentence by sentence how to get these conversations going.
And I really feel like even the people that are winging it, there are certain things that you don't even know that you're repeating over and over, working with buyers, working with sellers, those kinds of things. So
and if you don't practice the scripts, you don't, and you don't actually, if you don't have the scripts, you don't know what you should be including and what you're missing. And that's the piece that I realized soon after joining this and hearing the Buffini scripts and more of your scripts and Dylan's scripts. I'm like, I have missed that part of my conversation over the course of the last 15 years in real estate. That's a big deal. And so I want people to know that as we're talking about these over the course of the next month and a half, really, really important that they take these to heart and say, okay, there is potential that I'm not answering every question out there.
Yeah, that's good. So as we kind of worked on framing these conversations for you a little bit more, we realized there's really kind of four major categories. And so some of them have subcategories within the categories. But really, the 4 major categories when you're out there having conversations with people, it's how's the market. There's market timing that are very intuitive to our conversations right now in this particular market that we're in that I think are super fun and intriguing. Who do you know conversations, and then just some general reminders on some really good referral dialogue. So we're going to just do a quick flyover of some of those. And again, you'll see in all your resources that those are there for you, but we wanted to just kind of give you kind of a little bit more of the foundation behind some of these. So Travis, I'm going to throw it back to you. The how's the market conversations.
And one of the reasons some of us avoid the grocery store in small towns, because we know someone's
going to ask.
Yeah. But again, that it's so important that we are market experts and not just marketing experts, but market experts. We should know what's going on from a larger level, what's going on at the national level, because that feeds into our state level, and then that feeds into our local markets, our local zip codes. And so it's not just, though, understanding that we need to be market experts and we need to know statistics and we need to know data, because we do. And this is where I think sometimes when we get busy, this is one of the easiest things to kind of
take your eyes off of.
Right? Oh, you know what? The market's hot. Well, you know what? That doesn't actually tell us anything. And depending on who we're talking about, is the market hot?
Right.
And so becoming the expert there and knowing what's going on in industry trends.
Yeah.
And we'll dig into this deeper, obviously, in additional podcasts and meetings, but who am I talking to, and how do I need to make sure that I'm framing it differently based on that? And so if I'm talking to a buyer right now, and I'm having that conversation with a buyer, how's the market? I need to number one, understand where they're coming from with that question.
Absolutely. And the question behind the question, how's the market, right?
Are they wanting to buy right now as a buyer, or are they thinking that it's better that they wait 6 to 12 months? Because what I don't want to seem is pushy and salesy, but I need to let them know that, hey,
here's some differences.
Here's
some variances.
Here's some reasons you maybe want to be thinking about this now, because the market is doing this right now, which is perfect timing. I sent it to you this morning on an NAR report that came out that our contracts being written right now for buyers, purchase agreements, is the highest that it's been in almost 2 years. And so when we look at it from that aspect, if I'm talking to a buyer, I'm letting them know there's some stiff competition out there, and based on the number of pre-approvals that are sitting out there waiting, now is the time.
Right,
and yes, probably every other real estate agent has always told you now is the time to buy, but interest rates are holding steady-ish. We're seeing small different, but again, we need to be able to relate to what's important to them and find out, as a buyer that's asking me, how's the market? Are they asking me because they're wondering about going out and buying right now? Or are they wondering if they should wait on interest rates? What is the question behind the question? But I need to do that every time I'm talking to a client. So if we reverse and we look at from a seller perspective, what's happening with inventory right now? What's happening with purchase agreements? Well, we're seeing more PAs written and accepted than we have in 2 years. This is one of those opportunities now to talk to a seller about what's going on there. So again, we're going to dig into the scripts in those, not today, but over the course of the next 6 weeks, and really look at how do I talk to both of them in a way that puts a positive perspective on the market, because it is a positive perspective, but also make sure they're fully aware that there's always an opportunity to wait. Yeah. But what are the consequences of waiting?
Lead with, and it gives them direction, right? That leadership piece of the LRC gives them then direction to understand what they're working with, right? Well, and that's the whole point of these
and the more we can talk actual market data, statistics, tell the story, right? Yes. To say days on the market's at 25 days and leaving it at that
doesn't do it.
Who knows? And to be honest, even to me as a real estate agent, I'm like, okay, like, I don't know. What's your market like? Is that good or is that bad in your market? Because I can tell you in some markets, 25 days is pretty solid. In other markets, they're like, oh man, this is sitting a while, huh? Yeah. So we need to be able to actually take that from what we talked about at the beginning, take that information, take that noise, filter it down, and make it valuable to our client. So if I'm talking to a buyer, what does this mean? If I'm talking to a seller, what does this mean? But there's also 2 other categories that we're going to dig into. And one is the homeowner, right? Is just someone that owns a home. They're maybe not interested in selling right now, but they want to know, how's the market, right? Like,
because
we've talked
how's
about
my real estate actually doing, right?
What has my biggest asset done? Has it gone up in value? What's going on in my type of property? Yep. And so again, now we've moved on from here's what's important for a buyer and a seller to, hey, you know what? Like, here's the equity you've gained. Here's what's continuing to happen with appreciation, but here's what's really unique about you as a homeowner. Yeah. And again, it might not be that they have any interest in selling, but us being able to explain this to them, number one, leads us into what we're going to talk about later, but is referrals. Because they're like, you know what, I was talking to Angela the other day, and she was explaining some stuff to me, and it was really, really good.
Helpful. You might want to talk to her.
Yeah, you should go talk to her. And we're going to circle back here in just a little bit on how you actually use those homeowners to help you get more referrals. Yeah. But in providing that value now, in that homeowner's mind, you just set yourself up that when they're ready to sell, you're the expert. Yeah. And again, so it's not that we're trying to convince them now you need to sell. We're letting them know everything we know about the market that pertains to their property. So they know that you are the expert when it comes to this.
Yes, absolutely.
And then the other one that's it's New Year's Eve today. We've had this question, I'm sure, over the course of the last week, but we're going to continue to have it, is just the general public wanting to know, how's the industry?
How are things really?
How is real estate? How is the market?
Yeah, or even like I think of how your mom even be like, are you good?
You doing all right?
I heard it's not great. How you doing as a realtor?
Well, and I always tell a story. My dentist is one of my good friends, but he always waits until he's like, hands in my mouth doing work. And like, well, how's the real estate market? And I'm like, I can't tell you right now, but as soon as you're done, I've got some good information for you. Not about his property, but as a business owner in our town, he wants to know, are values going up? Is that going to help our schools? Is that going to bring people here? And so we need to be able to also know there's other professionals out there that the real estate industry has a direct influence on them as well. And so we need to be able to talk about what's going on in our individual markets, but statewide, nationwide, so that we can bring that back. Because a lot of us serve on different committees and associations and organizations, but we're also just the housing experts in our communities. And so people need us to be able to filter that noise for them so that they can plan on it within their business. And so it's one of my favorite questions. And again, it's probably been a couple of years since we did this course, but we did a course that was all about storytelling when it comes to data and stats from the MLS and from RPR. And so practicing that and reminding everyone of how we can switch those conversations around is good.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yes. And so as we were digging into how's the market, we also know there's this unique timing situation going on, right? So we separated this out into a separate category.
And they are,
because this is kind of, once you dig underneath the question behind the question of how's the market, and you have kind of your standard, let's call it your 5-second, 10-second elevator speech version, and understand who they are and why they're really asking the question. If they're really a buyer or really a seller, we need to be equipped with the words to be able to talk to them about the market timing, right? Yep. So as a buyer right now, here's my LRC, right? Here's what's going on. Here's some things that you should be aware of. And this is why it may be good for you or not good for you to buy right now, right? But here's some unique opportunities that could be taken advantage of in this particular market as a buyer.
Which is a different question than how's the market?
Yes.
Timing of the market is so important.
Yes.
I'm glad that we made the decision to split these two out because it is such a different question that, like you said, it's you giving the opportunity to give them some information, but still rely on you as the expert.
Yeah. And the seller conversation to me is very unique right now, because I might give completely different advice to a seller than a buyer. I mean, I will actually give completely different advice to a seller than a buyer, because again, in the middle of winter, do you have to move? Right. Is now really the time that's going to that you are going to be able to see the best returns and, on your house and things like that. So there's just some nuances here, both on the buyer side and the seller side. One, understanding your market so that you can answer this question. But when they really are a buyer or seller, I feel like there's very unique timing conversations to be having with people. And
some of that is even price point specific, house type specific, and that's where it's fun. Because we can do a little bit of homework and sound, we are knowledgeable, but we sound even more knowledgeable when we can say, hey, here's what's happening in the market, but timing wise, here's why I would recommend this, because here's what's happening in this price point in this type of home. So while I might tell everyone else that you should wait, we're seeing that these properties in this price point are flying right now for January, which is abnormal, but let's talk about this because it might be the right time for you, when I would normally say, hey, let's get through these first couple months. So that piece of it being separate is so important, but also really exciting because we can look at MLS data and say, wait a minute, this is funky.
Yeah, tell me more about what you're thinking.
Like this changes our timing conversation. more than, well, here's what the market's doing. And so it's two separate conversations that both rely on one another, and it's a fun way to approach it.
Yeah. And the more we talk about these things too, I mean, they all four could all happen kind of simultaneously throughout a sit down at a coffee shop and you're really like digging into this stuff together. So use all of these as you go, because then I feel like this next one, the who do you know, who scripts on the buyer and seller side specifically definitely can be used when needed. And, you know, as you're calling through people, these are very easy phone calls to actually make, but maybe it's your natural course of conversation sitting at a coffee. Yeah. But yes, the who do you know who conversation specific to buyer seller before we dig into some other referral.
Well, and the part I like about the who do you know who is it doesn't have to just be the homeowner that you are listing their property or another buyer that's, you know, you're hoping to get more buyers. This is where you can lean on all your people. It's where you lean on your dentist, but this is also where you lean on your friends and your family. Yeah. And it's that, again, it's the framework and it's the script of not saying, do you know anyone that wants to buy a house? Right?
Changing the words.
The change of the words makes the difference is who do you know who wants to buy a house. And again, however you want to frame it, but the point of the question is it's not a yes or no. Yeah. Right.
And it lets them off the hook a little bit. Hey, who do you know who might be thinking about making a move in the next 6 to 12 months that I should be getting in front of right now. Right. So that conversation to me is, they don't instantly go, oh, I don't feel like it's as on the spot. Yeah. Like, okay, Travis really needs an answer right now. You know, they might just be like, oh, I don't know. I'll think about it. Yeah. But that seed that you just planted, now their brain is open to that idea, right?
And it's but again, now they're actually thinking about it. Because if you ask me, do you know anybody that wants to buy a house? Like, no. I don't, not that I can think of right now. Yep. Who do you know that's going to need to buy a house in the next couple months because, you know, maybe they're moving, maybe because of family changes, because, you know, whatever the reason. Now they're thinking like, oh, who do I know that maybe is having a baby? Who do I know that has kids leaving for college? Who do I know that... And so especially as they become your advocates, they become your fans. Yep. They're thinking about it, and it's not a yes or no. Yeah. Right. It's who do you know, not do you know. And it's the exact same thing that we're going to ask buyers. Who do you know that needs to sell a house? But we're also going to ask our sellers. Who else do you know that needs to? Yeah. Good. And again, it comes back to there's no pressure right now. I'm not saying, hey, I need you to give me 3 names of people that are going to buy a house in the next year. Please do it now. It's really conversational. Yeah. And it can happen, like you said at the beginning, it can happen during, it can happen at the end. Ideally, and you're going to talk to us about this in a second, it should happen all the time. And so that's the fun part here. Yeah. But I like this approach because it's not pressurized. Yes. But it also is putting a little bit of pressure on you to come up with some names. Yeah. I like, this has been a great relationship. I need you to come up with some names, but who do you know who? Yeah. And I think back that I don't know which financial planning company it is, but financial advisors, and it might be Northwestern Mutual when they do their original training are great at this, that they'll end the conversation with, hey, who are 3 friends that I should reach out to that you know that would also benefit from something like this? And hey, no pressure. I'm just going to give them a call, let them know this is what I do. And every time, I get these calls a lot, and then my friends are texting me, and they're like, I'm really sorry that I gave them your name. Like, hey, it's their job. Like, and I'm glad they're calling because maybe we're going to be a perfect match. But it's the same thought here. Yeah. Is let's lean on the people to help us find more people. And that's really what takes us into kind of our last conversation that we think we want to have here.
Yeah. So the who do you know who is one version, kind of like landing in that Buffini realm. But our 4th category is really doubling down on our database. How long has it been, guys, since you've really brushed off your database, really looked and gone through your A plus A's, B's, C's, and genuinely asked the question? And so I have some new agents maybe who are listening as well that are still just working on this, right? Yeah. So there's versions that are more suitable for figuring your database out. But for everybody else that's got a database and you're just kind of sitting on some people, when was the last time you actually reminded them you work by referral and you value the relationship that you have with them? And hey, would you refer people? Like asking for referrals, right? So one of the things that we're going to be spending more time digging into, like you said, in the next, 4 to 6 weeks as we go through the contest, as we highlight these in our Reconnect space that we'll kind of touch on here in just a minute, as well as different podcasts. So go check out the different varieties of podcasts, is these referral dialogues. So what is the general referral dialogue, brushing that skill off. What is the big 3 that Buffini coaches us through, walking through, educating people on how you do business as your referral dialogue, articulating why you do it the way, and then what the benefit is to them from you working right by referral. The big 3 being, hey, I want to be a service to you, providing some value along the way, and hey, ask, am I still a realtor you would refer people to if you came across somebody, right? So it's brushing off these and reminding us that we need to actually go out and ask our people, hey, am I the person you would refer to? And or, if you did come across somebody, who do you have to send them to, right? Yeah. I would love to be that person for you. So I just really feel like this is a really fun group of conversations as a reminder to brush some of these skills off and to go have these amazing, fun conversations with our people that are reminding them, hey, like, I love working with people like you, and you sending me referrals is one of the best, highlights of my life. Like when you can do that for me in my business, that is amazing. Yeah. So just reminding your people and being sure you ask the question, reminding you're open to referrals.
People struggle with this, right? Agents struggle with, I don't want to seem needy. I don't want to seem desperate. And I laugh at this one because I think about when somebody asks me for a recommendation. Right? Whether
we do this
you and I were just talking about Boston this morning, and I'm like, I really hope when you're in Boston, you go to Mr. Dooley's and you go to this and you do this.
People do it.
And naturally. I got so excited to give you my recommendations.
Yes.
And when people say, hey, I'm going to be in Cedar Falls, where should I go eat? I'm going to this place. What should I do? Naturally, we're excited.
That's what we do.
We want to refer you to the places that we love, that we know you're going to get great service, that's going to be great for you. And so for you to tell someone, hey, I love working with you, and getting your referrals means that I get to work with people that are like you. Please let me know. That's and please refer me. And again, that reminder to them is like, oh yeah, I forgot. You do want, like you yes. When somebody says they want to sell a house, I should be telling them about you, right?
Yes. It's again, planting those seeds, right? And we have to just keep reminding people.
Yep. But I mean, it's the same as when somebody asks for a good lender, a good insurance company, a good inspector. We are always excited to refer the best.
Yeah.
And so even as agents, as realtors, we get nervous to go out to our people and say, hey, if you know someone, when you know someone, I would love it if you do it. They're going to be excited to refer you if you've done a great job for them. So this is just that reminder. We need to reach out to these people. Like you said, brush it off.
Yeah.
Because again, would they likely refer to us? Yeah, we hope so. But they might also not even mention anything because they don't know if we want referrals.
Exactly.
We need to let them know we want more business. We're capable of handling
and we want
more
people like them. Like the tying it to that is also really a fun aspect of these conversations. So I think we've gone through our 4 main categories. As Travis and I mentioned a few times, Travis is going to be really re-digging into and really honing in on these how's the market scripts even more in Reconnect on January 13th, right? I'm going to be going into these different categories of these referral dialogues in Reconnect as well on the 20th. So definitely come join us there if you're looking for some more insight, help, advice in those areas. But yeah, honestly, guys, just go to the Forge and do it. Get all your resources,
get your
scorecards ready, and go out and have some really fun, good, informed LRC conversations with your people. This is a little harder, but it's also really fun. This is like I said, the heart behind everything that we do. It's really fun. So get ready, guys, and let's get going on January 13th with some really fun conversations.
Quick. Here we go.
You can do it. Let's have fun. Thanks for joining us today. To learn more about how to build a profitable, sustainable, and enjoyable business, go to morethanmorepodcast.com.